Okay, now that we know how to complete the square, we're going to see how to use it to solve equations that are quadratic. Equations are quadratic if they have an x squared. And the way we've solved equations in the past with an x squared is we've factored. The problem with this is you can't always factor. For example, if I give you x squared minus 5x minus 1 equals 0, you cannot solve this equation by factoring because the trinomial here does not factor. So the neat thing about solving by completing the square is you can always do it on a quadratic equation, and it's a really neat process as well. So let's begin. You need to know some general rules for completing the square. The first thing is you need a 1 in front of x squared, and we mentioned that in the completing the square video. Second of all, you should move the constant term to the right. And then once you've done both of those things, then you complete the square. Okay? Complete the square and take the square root. That's the whole idea. We're going to make it a perfect square so we can then take the square root. And don't forget the plus or minus. Okay, so let's try some examples. So here's a quadratic equation that you cannot solve by factoring using conventional methods. So we already have a 1 in front of the x squared, so we don't have to worry about that. And the constant 7 is already on the right side, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so we immediately go to complete the square. So what I need to do is add, I need to complete the square on the left side. So I'm going to take this 4, multiply it by a half, and square it. 4 times a half is 2. 2 squared is 4. So what I do with this 4 is I add it to the left side. And in an equation, if you do something to the left side, you also must do it to the right side. So I'm going to add the 4 to both sides. A lot of people forget to do it on the right side. Now the whole point of completing the square is now this left side is a perfect square, so it will factor as a perfect square. Basically something squared. And how does it factor? You need x, and then you take half of the middle coefficient, which is positive 4, so half of that's positive 2, so that's how it factors. 7 plus 4 is 11. Now you have something squared equals a number. Let's take the square root of both sides. So x plus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 11. And you can't simplify the square root of 11, so just subtract the 2. And you end up with x equals negative 2 plus the square root of 11, or x equals negative 2 minus the square root of 11. So that's a simple example of how to complete the square to solve a quadratic equation. Okay, here we have the 1 in front of the q squared, so we don't have to worry about that. But we need to move the constant to the right side. So we end up with q squared plus 2q equals negative 2. Now I need to add the same thing to both sides, so I always like to write it like this, to make sure I don't forget to do it to both sides. The 2 is what I need to take times a half and square. 2 times a half is 1, and 1 squared is 1. So I'll add 1 to both sides. Factor the left side. It would be q, and then positive 2 divided by 2 is 1, so add 1 inside. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. Take the square root of both sides. We can simplify the square root of negative 1. The square root of negative 1 is simply I. And now we subtract the negative 1 over. And q is negative 1 plus I, or negative 1 minus I. In this example, we need this 9 to be a 1, so I'm going to divide everything by 9, which gives me n squared. 6/9 is 2/3, and 1/9 is 1/9. The constant's on the right side, so I will complete the square now. So I need to take the negative 2/3 times a half and square it. Negative 2/3 times a half is negative 1/3. Negative 1/3 squared is 1/9. So I add the 1/9 to both sides, and now I factor the left side. It's going to be n minus half of negative 2/3 is negative 1/3. 1/9 plus 1/9 is 2/9. And take the square root of both sides. I can simplify the right side because the square root of 9 is 3. So I end up with the square root of 2 on top and just a 3 on the bottom. Add the 1/3 to both sides. And this is what we get.